the throw. Fire down! Incomplete down at the goal line by San Diego. Tomlinson off the left side. Tomlinson sidestep. Hello, history books. Here's Sproles. Sproles inside the 10, inside the 5, and the Chargers win the game. Charger fans are witnesses to history.
In the greatest of Navy jerseys, the Chargers get the big win tonight, Thursday night, 37-10, never in doubt. Well, I would say there was maybe a minute and a half when that pick six happened, and it was we all thought, here we go again.
Better to get it out of the way early.
They're going to pick up where they left off in Indianapolis, but no, it was a drop pass, and yes, Chargers win 37-10. Craig mentioned it before we got on. No punts today. We saw a big games from a bunch of different people. We should probably get to that, but big win on a pretty ugly week last week. Turned it around when they needed to, and here we are. Chargers are 5-3 now, 3-2 at home. But I mean, they had to put up a game like this in those jerseys. There was no way they were going to have a close 13-10 squeak out win. They had to blow teams out.
Yeah, after you rolled into SoFi with the canary joints on last week and got the crap kicked out of you, you absolutely had to do the Navy's justice, man, especially with everything that they mean. That's a huge part of the reason why, when my fandom initiated back when, LT was at TCU, and when I made my decision that I was going to be a Chargers fan wherever he went, that's my era. So those jerseys mean everything to me. And for them to go out there and put on the show that they did tonight, they definitely serviced them well. And I want to see more of them, but unfortunately, I don't even know if they're going to wear them again this season. However it works, they definitely did what they needed to do in them, and an overall stellar performance. There was some things here and there, but there's nothing I'm going to complain about. You got 10 days to kind of soak it all in and find out what you're going to do with the rest of your team, if there's any maneuvers to be made over those few days, and potentially for guys to rest up as well. So from top to bottom, just a very, very, very good performance.
Yeah, more Navy, less of the Savannah banana yellow that they really got.
They can burn them joints, man.
Last week, yeah. I didn't like them to start, but then after that showing last week, they can leave them where they wore them. All right, so let's talk about it tonight. So we saw a pretty big game from a bunch of people, but I really want to talk about Kamani Vidal from the jump, because the way he ran today, we had 23 carries, 117 yards, a touchdown, but it just felt like he ran with a purpose. He didn't last week. I think Joe Alt helped that today, but just felt like as soon as he got that ball, he was exploding off each handoff early. He ran hard, and he really kept those legs churning. There's a lot of times where he got wrapped up and, fell forward for a couple extra yards. Also made a really, really nice block to spring Herbert for a big gain. I think it was in that third quarter, but he got his touchdown running right behind Joe Alt on that left side. Ran right in. Probably would have got another one if it weren't for that whole penalty mess that happened on that 1 yard line. But a great game from Kamani Vidal, really showing what we talked about a couple weeks ago when he had that kind of breakout game, that if they can have Hampton and Vidal as kind of your 1-2 punch, it would be a really nice thing for this offense, among other things that are starting to shed some light here in the last couple of weeks.
Sure. Top level performance from Vidal tonight, particularly and I know a lot of people when you consider what type of offense the Chargers want to be. What you saw tonight was what they want to be in. They haven't been able to because of all the various injuries. But what really impressed me tonight about Vidal's game was he got in that zone again, where he was pressing the line of scrimmage, and I was really impressed with the way he was able to still bounce to the edge at the last second. So the edge defenders, they were always like a beat behind in pursuit, so they could barely get a hand on him because of it. You could just tell he was sensing where the openings would be, even when he was between the tackles. And it's just a guy who's running the ball like he knew or was hearing all the whispers. Maybe not so much whispers, it kind of screams at this point. The Chargers are looking to add another running back to the roster. And even after this performance, I still would be, and this is nothing about Kamani. This is about solidifying a position that you don't want to take any risk with, because you've lost your number 1 and 2 backs. And now you got a guy who's stepping out and saying, hey, I can get the job done. You don't want to take any chances with a potential injury to him too. Take the load off of him, get someone who can come in and complement him. And then when you get Hampton back, you have a potential 3-headed monster of guys who can go ahead and tote the pill. And, moving into a possible playoff run, and the way that this offense wants to utilize its guys in the backfield, you probably need a few of them that can get the job done. So I don't want them to run Vidal into the ground thinking that they can just do that until Hampton gets back. When you come up against some of the better fronts, and the Vikings absolutely do have a very solid defensive front to at least in, we can talk about this moving forward about the O-line in general, but I just want something else to add to Vidal to, again, not tempt fate, because the Chargers have trash injury luck, as we saw again tonight, but it didn't actually end up biting them in the butt this time around. But Kamani Vidal, just excellent job. That's 2 out of the last 3 weeks where you've shown up. Fans were kind of poo-pooing him for a while because they didn't feel like he was very much of a factor potentially, but Jim knew what he was doing when he took him. There was something about his game that he really liked. And the other part that he did tonight was he showed up in blitz pickup in a very major way, which was something he was really good at Troy, but his rookie season, not so much. But that's just something that goes on with rookies. They're typically not all that good in pass protection right out of the wrapper. But Vidal's kind of, rounding into form his game all the way around, whether as a receiver or running back and in pass protection. So you just love to see the development, and I'm happy that he's getting this opportunity.
Quick little things from the chat real quick. This is cool. Not even close 10 on vacation in the Philippines. Wanted to hop in and show my support. What's up, dude? Good to see you. And then from Richard Farley, just updating you here, Craig. Just check the uniform schedule. They wear them again against the Raiders.
Oh, perfect.
So, yeah.
Get stump a mud hole, and that, oh, God, that just made my night.
I know. I'm so glad. I thought they wore them twice, but I wasn't sure. But good. Thank you for checking it. Also, if you guys hear any news about Tarheeb Still or Derwin James, most importantly, or Mekhi Becton, just shoot it in the chat, because we're here. We're not.
Or you could not say anything about Mekhi Becton, and I'd be just fine.
Yeah, I was just throwing names out there. I just, Tony Jefferson went too, but that's why he was towards the bottom of the list. Derwin first and foremost, obviously, and then we'll check out Still when we get there. But yeah, Vidal was excellent today. I mean, it just felt like a totally different running back today than the one we've seen since last week. But outside of his real big game, we haven't really seen a lot from him. He comes back, shows it again. Also, we know Derwin was in a boot on the sideline. We're talking about, like, what's the injury? They're going to ask. So we'll find out here soon. We're probably not going to get a real, like, strong deadline, but.
Well, we know someone's definitely going to ask.
Yeah. And we know who that is. But let's move past Vidal, because he was great, and really happy to see him run like he did. And man, the telecast loved him. They couldn't pronounce his name right, but they just kept going on and on about him. But he ran great today. Somebody who also had a great game today was Gatson, Rondé Gatson today. Just an animal, man.
Dude dropped down from the rafters like Sting, and like, whether it was like WWF, ECW, whatever Sting you want. He did it in the first half, and he ripped the Vikes a new one, and then he disappeared back into the shadows in the second half because his work was done. And his presence was felt overall, to say the very least. But ladies and gentlemen, the Chargers potentially have another budding star at the tight end position, and it was a late round pick. So bravo to Joe Ortiz for doing it again. And that's right. I'm going to give Joe Ortiz props where it's deserved. We're going to criticize him, but we're going to give him props also, because, again, he's just finding these studs in mid to late rounds, and they're coming in and being high-level contributors, and that comes from having a really good scouting department and a GM that trusts them. So bravo. And moving forward, it creates a lot of options in the passing game to Herbert, which was always this offseason's goal, to give Herbert more weapons. And here you go, lo and behold, you find a mismatch at the tight end position, which gives you multiple options in the passing game. And it creates options for you if you want to maneuver the roster a little bit. I know some people don't want to hear that, but just an idea. If you're running out of draft picks, maybe you can include a player. I don't have to name who that player is. I know some people don't like that, but just saying, there's another guy that scored a touchdown tonight. That's a rookie who I think is going to be pretty decent moving forward. And, when you have an abundance of assets and you're lacking in other places, what do you do?
Yeah. I am pretty excited about Gatson. And the thing that really solidified it for me tonight was, the plays were great. Getting 77 yards and a touchdown was great. Just being a huge weapon, even on that 40-yard catch and run. I mean, it was beautiful today. But what I loved is that I loved him jawing at the DB after the touchdown. I understand that he got a taunting penalty and all that, but his confidence through the roof. Like rookies like that, I mean, normally are just getting their touchdowns or celebrating with their team and they're getting the sideline. But when you start John with your opposing DBs, you got something invested in this. And obviously the DB, I can't remember who it was, the corner was going after Gatson. And after that taunting penalty, because he obviously went after him, they obviously said something pre-snap. But Gaston was making like the jawing motion sideline, telling his teammates he kept talking, and then he shut him up by getting a touchdown. And I love that, man. That is a sign of a rookie that's showing confidence. That you don't want to get a taunting penalty. Obviously, it didn't hurt them. They made the extra point, and it didn't really matter at the end of the day. But yeah, obviously he can't go out and go do that again. But I love the confidence because the way he's showing up week in and week out, because it's like 3 weeks in a row where he's like just going off. I mean, this is he looks like Tony Gonzalez light out there. Like he is a top 10 tight end right now with the way he's playing. He is incredible right now. And 5th round pick, a guy that if you can get the athletic tight end to at least kind of get close to its ceiling, this is the kind of player you can get. And they invested in him late. They had that 2nd, 5th round pick and they got it. And to spend it on a guy and to get the production you're getting now, year one, when you're thinking, maybe later in the year, he might get some snaps here or there. But man, I mean, there's no looking back. He's tight end 1. He's moving up to wide receiver 1. He is absolutely a huge asset for this offense that can just open this offense up even more than we had thought going into the season.
You remember how pissed off we were when they didn't get a tight end in the first 3 rounds?
Yeah. Because, we talk about that every time.
It's
we
insane.
told them to punt on tight end in day 3.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then I keep going back to this, the Harbaugh conversation when he got him on the phone saying that they had a plan for him. I think initially the issue was they didn't realize how the wide receiver room was going to develop so early. And the fact that there were so many options in the passing game and they still needed him to come along as a blocker. And keep in mind, there was never a desire to go out there and spread it out and toss it around the yard. They're starting to have to do this, or they started to have to do it out of necessity. So he was just one of those players that they were going to potentially stash. And as the season went on, if they needed somebody to be able to stretch the seam with some length and some athleticism, then they had him that they could probably pop in there. But it would only be in a complimentary role. He would be a specialty player, maybe in the red zone. If you were having trouble scoring there, you can get this 6'5" tight end out there with athleticism who's only played the position. That was his 3rd year playing tight end because he only played for 2 at Syracuse. So he's still learning. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they've let him off the leash now, and you have this what could be potentially explosive offense once you get the running game going like they did tonight, and you're seeing why he can be such a factor. Think of how much he frees up your wide receivers. You got Ladd who can still work over the middle. You saw Ladd outside on the perimeter beat somebody vertically, which that part of the offense has not shown itself up until tonight. But when you have a player like that that can threaten the number in between the numbers, outside the numbers, vertically up the seams, you can start doing a lot of things with your wide receivers. You can get very creative in your offense if you have the protection to do it, and they did tonight. So just overall, having a mismatch at the tight end position, having one of those joker type guys is invaluable to an offense because of everything else that it opens up. And again, I don't think any of us was expecting it or were expecting it this early. The fact that it's happened the way that it has bodes very well for the rest of the season as you start to get more guys back, because Gatson has now become a staple of the offense. It like in the last 3 weeks, it's easy to see he's a focal point of the offense now. So when you get Amari and Hampton back and you're starting to look at the different pieces you have to utilize, Greg Roman is probably like sitting back with his arms crossed and his little nubby fingers and just imagining those beautiful play calls that he can make and those scripted plays he can get to start games out and even coming out of halftime. And I'm telling you, man, it's a thing of beauty. Having a tight end with this ability is a complete game changer.
Yeah, and you got to think like as this offense is rolling and they're getting pretty healthy at this point. I mean, obviously there's some injuries today, but today was supposed to be one of their more healthy games. Obviously, injuries happen, but Alt's back, Mac's back, Perryman's back. They were getting a lot of guys coming back. And when you look at this offense and having Gatson show up as, you're an absolute mismatch on the offensive side. Ladd McConkey coming on really strong, had another strong game again today. QJ, who, by the way, didn't have a single target today. I think it's the first game in his whole career, but the way he was playing at the beginning of the year, how Keenan's been a staple on third down. And then if you're getting Hampton back and Vidal's running the way that he is, and with an injury like Becton, it almost kind of, you start to think like they're not that far away on offense. If they can shore up the offensive line, I mean, they've got all the receiving, and we saw Trey Harris today. I don't think I mentioned him yet. Trey Harris looked great, and he's coming on now too. I mean, look at all the weapons they have in the receiving room, from tight end to wide receiver. Running back, Hampton looked great before the injury. Vidal's looking great right now. You put those two together, if you can add another running back, great. But I mean, it just feels like if you're going into the trade deadline coming up very soon and you really, really want to make a run, because at the beginning of the season, when they were healthy, it showed like they could compete with anybody. If they can, and they want to put some chips in now, they got to start investing in that offensive line. And if it's not during this trade deadline, this offseason's got to be like full sail. We're going all in on offensive line, and defensively we'll figure it out in the draft. But they've got young guns now, from Ladd to Gatson to Trey to Hampton to Vidal. You've got a QJ you can throw in there too. Keenan, he may be back, maybe not, but you've got a lot of guys that are KLS. They're part of your future. So now with Joe Alt as good as he is, hopefully Slater comes back. You've got to go in and invest in that offensive line. If not now, this offseason. But it just feels like, to me, when you look at a game like this against a pretty good defense, might I add, to put up 37 today, it just feels like, and that offense is a mess with Carson Wentz. I get it. And I also kind of feel bad for him because he was getting his butt kicked today. But it just feels like, hey, if this is it, why are we sitting on our hands? Just go out and make a move. And it's not like teams are willing to just give up anything, but for these teams that are just flailing and they want to invest in their future with some draft capital, I am all for it. I am ready to get these Chargers invested in this offensive line, because they have got to get it here soon.
Well, and that's what I was alluding to, because you mentioned Trey Harris, and when I said 9, that's exactly what I was talking about. The fact that, and I said this last week, he's ready.
Yeah.
You have a ready-made guy who can come out there and literally play all 3 positions.
It's a month.
Yeah. I mean, but the kicker of it is that TD almost feels ominous. And I'm not saying that we know anything's going to happen. I'm just saying it's interesting. So QJ's out there. He got 0 targets tonight. And I'm not saying it was done purposely, but then you see this rookie who's been steadily creeping up here the last few weeks. They depend on him. When you see Trey Harris on the field, 80% of the time is going to be a running play, because not only do they know what he can do as a receiver, but he's out there blocking his tail off as a receiver in the run game. Some of these longer runs that you're seeing breaking are because he's downfield stalk blocking corners and safeties. And that is something that Jim Harbaugh values in his offense. Go back and look at any Jim Harbaugh offense, whether you want to go back to the Niners, Stanford, you want to go back to Michigan. Blocking wide receivers have always been a staple of that offense, and they keep trying to do their best to get Trey Harris in there, but there's just an abundance of wide receivers. And again, you've got Aranda Gatson in there as a receiving option, so he's just kind of like waiting in the wings, biding his time, right? And he gets this TD tonight on a play that I keep saying this play works literally every single time. That play action stretch where Herbert could either keep it or throw it to the back, because the whoever's defending, whether the linebacker, safety, or whatever, they have to make a decision, and whoever they leave is going to be wide open.
Yeah.
And instead, they read it perfectly this time, and he found Trey Harris in the middle of the end zone for a catch for a TD. The kid just keeps showing up. And yes, you are now down to 5 draft picks in next year's cycle. So what do you need to do if you don't have the draft picks? Well, you have a stocked wide receiver room, and you have a wide receiver whose value is probably the highest that it's going to be. If you can utilize that to help fortify your team in other areas, whether it be offensive line or anywhere else where you're lacking, even if it's a part of like a package where you can get an interior defensive lineman that can come in and be someone that you can extend and have long-term and be a difference maker as an interior disruptor, you use that. I think people just find players that they like and they get attached, and they don't understand that, hey, it's nice that you have them around, but when you have a lot of something and you're missing somewhere else, then you have to be smart about how you maneuver your team and moving forward. I'm not saying that you go ahead and you mortgage your entire future by giving out draft picks. You shouldn't do that, because you build your team through the draft and you supplement it in free agency. But if you have extra pieces, you can use that to help you navigate that, especially when you're lacking draft picks. So overall, offensively, it was a tremendous night when you think about the fact that they put up 37 points on a very, very good defense. That's what's crazy. And this is what you talked about. Like, the offenses, if it can, I'm not saying it even has to play at this level every week, but you see the direction it can go in. The only difference tonight is that, let's not call it only, it's huge. Joe Alt was back, and it seemed to change the entire trajectory of the offense. The left side, Herbert's blind side, was not a problem all night. And the offensive line, for the most part, played very, very well. I think there was one procedural penalty, and it was on Alt. You know, so you can call that him being rusty. I don't know, but I think, you know, there's a lot to say about that. There was a play that I found hilarious, because Bradley Bozeman's still Bradley Bozeman. He's still going to do Bozeman stuff, but he literally whiffed on a play where he misses assignment. Herbert scrambles around, runs him back into his block.
Yeah.
In order to, and then, you know, I forget what happened on that particular.
Yeah. Herbert was like, "Hey, you forgot this. Come get this."
Yeah. He ran him back to his assignment. Hilarious. I laughed so hard, like I was closing my eyes laughing. So I missed the completion of the play. I just thought that was hilarious. But because the dude's literally doing everything clearly. But again, not to belabor the point. Yes, there's an opportunity here to solidify some areas, or you know, get some replacement players that can come in and be better contributors for you for the remainder of the season, going into the stretch run. And you have to do what you have to do with the pieces that you have in order to make that happen. But I was very impressed in what I saw tonight, and it gives you a lot of hope moving forward when you see 37-10 against a team like the Vikings. And last thing, because I'm getting super wordy. If we want to get Justin Herbert to the Hall of Fame, just have him play a Brian Flores defense every week, because apparently he's the one that has the answers to the test. 40 or 47 for 405 yards, 3 TDs in 2021. Tonight, 18 for 25, 227, 3 TDs in a tip pick, because apparently all his tip passes get picked. But just all around great night from the offense as a whole.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. And Brian Flores has had that defense humming this season, but just not tonight, man. Chargers had everything working. That ooga booga ball that Discord always calls it was on display today. And I just got an update that there are no updates on Derwin, Mekhi Becton, or Tarheeb still per Jim Harbaugh, which is not surprising, I guess. But there's no, like, what the injury is. I wonder if they're going to get specifics on that, but probably not till later in the week. But anyway, while we're talking about Herbert, I do want to say it did feel like having Herbert as a threat to run today really opened up the offense. We had talked about how he felt like more of almost like a stationary passer the last few weeks, where, there's some yards to get with his feet, and he just wouldn't take it, and he kind of floated behind the line of scrimmage looking for somebody to get open, and a lot of times like time would run out. He'd like drift towards the sideline. He'd have to throw it out of bounds, or get hit like he did today. But today, when he had that open pocket or an open lane, he rushed, and his legs today really helped open up that offense. Getting 62 yards on the ground on 7 rushes today really helped move the ball. There was a couple third downs where he had to run. I talked about that block from Vidal that sprung him for a big, I think it was like 18 yards or something. That type of Herbert, being a dual threat quarterback, has always been the best version of Justin Herbert. We talk about how we don't want him like to be a design runner all the time, but to at least get like a handful of them just to kind of like keep the defense honest. And I don't feel like that's been the case for the last month or so. But the fact that he would take off when that lane opened up in the middle, because there was a lot of times where the line kind of just parted the seas, and as soon as Herbert stepped up, he saw a lane and he ran. I don't want him taking the hits that he decides that he wants to keep taking and not slide down. But you gotta be able to respect Herbert with his legs or with his arm, and when that happens, they have to pick or choose. And that kind of like stretch play you were talking about earlier, Craig, that's the type of thing you're looking for. And they ran that on a third down where Vidal's leaking out and Harrison Smith has to choose, is it going to be Herbert or is it going to be Vidal? And then he decides to go after Herbert, and then he just dumps it off to Vidal for an easy first down. That's that stuff that you have to account for as a defense. And if you're just going to be a pocket passer, you've got the arm to do it, and that's great. But if you're not a threat to run, then everybody can just drop back and kind of sit in a zone. And that's when, these tip pass interceptions and whatnot happen, especially when you have an offensive line that isn't really catered to let you, set 5 to 7 step drop every down and just like give you 5 to 7 seconds to throw it. That's just not this offensive line right now, even though they were much better today than they have been now that Joe Alt's back. But it has to be something that they continue to go to, because that pocket passer, stationary thrower thing, that's not doing it for this offense. And yeah, they won in Miami and he did it that way, but still, I mean, the best version of Justin Herbert is when he can use his arms and his legs, because once that happens, that you just got to pick your poison with him.
The really beautiful thing about the offense tonight was the balance, but also everybody seemed to play a role. If you notice, you saw Keenan pop up when you needed him, which was on third downs, because that's what Keenan Allen does. So we're talking about drive extending plays where Herbert's looking for 13. You got Ladd work in the middle of the field, but also, as I mentioned before, you saw him work vertically for his touchdown tonight, which was a masterful throw and catch. And he made up for that ridiculous drop in the first half. You got Gatson in the middle of the field on his touchdown. Beautiful, by the way. I don't think we mentioned that. The actual route itself was a skinny post. He broke. I don't know if it was a safety. I was actually coming back from my son's football practice, so I'm doing the thing you're not supposed to do and watching football on your phone while you're driving. So I saw like the top of the route, and it looked like it was a safety that he caught. But just the stem of it, keeping it skinny, giving it a little shake to the inside, the little rocker step to the inside, and then breaks it back to the outside and breaks it back to the inside. Tremendous. But again, everybody on the offense served a purpose, particularly in the passing game. But that only works because the running game was so effective. And that is exactly how Jim Harbaugh wants to run his offense. If you can keep the running game respectable when you have a quarterback like Justin Herbert who can make things happen off schedule and off platform, then you're a very, very difficult offense to defend. It doesn't always have to be perfect. He has the athleticism, like you mentioned, to be able to take off on the run to get yardage that way. It's literally the perfect offense as long as you have a decent offensive line. You don't even have to have an elite one. You just can't have concession stand workers out there blocking that offensive tackle. Like, that's not something that's going to constitute a decent type of offense, or one that's sustainable, to be completely honest. And you have to be able to keep your quarterback healthy. And overall, what you saw tonight is the culmination of everything Jim Harbaugh wants this offense to be, and it's not even fully put together. So just imagine that if the Chargers get better injury luck, or guys come back and are able to maintain health and can stay out there for the stretch run of the season, you can see this as one of the more higher scoring offenses in the league because they can beat you really any kind of way you need them to. And that travels in the playoffs. If you have to go on the road in inclement weather, you can beat a team on the ground and pass the ball when you have to. If you have to spread it out and dink and dunk the ball, to open up the running lanes, you can do that too. But you just need to have the horses to be able to do it. And now that you're starting to see a guy here, a guy there come back, you're getting a glimpse into what they want this offense to be and what they could be going forward.
Mm-hmm. I do. Have we talked about Lat McConkey's touchdown yet? I know we talked about Gatson, but
just in passing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great job. Great play design, by the way. Getting Lat out on an island and then Herbert to read the safety dropping down and just hitting Lat on a go route. It was a beautiful catch, beautiful read, and a nice little exclamation point right before halftime on Okuda. It was perfectly timed.
Beautiful outside release on that go ball from Ladd, because again, one of the things that probably caught Okuda off kilter was the fact that you don't expect Ladd to beat you vertically because he's such a sideline to sideline runner. But the dude runs 4.38, 4.39. He can go. And if he gets you on your heels, if he catches you on your toes and, you won't pivot and transition out of your back pedal and get in phase, you're gone. If he gets even with you, it's a problem. You're not going to be able to run with him step for step. Like you might find guys that have better long speed than Ladd, but that short area quickness is enough to create the type of separation necessary to get those plays in from 40 into the end zone, because that's really all you need. It's almost like a 40-yard dash. Mm-hmm. And because he has such quick acceleration and quick feet, if he can close the gap, if he can eat your cushion and get even with you, the whole thing, if he's even is leaving. I know it's super cliche and kind of corny, but it's true with him because he has that type of foot speed and acceleration. So you saw it tonight, and they're going to be able to use that later on in the season, especially like I said before, if the running game is going, because you're going to have safeties that commit. They're going to be peeking in the backfield. That's why play action is so tremendous for teams that can run the ball very well. You got guys at the third level peeking into the backfield, so they creep up, and instead of getting depth, you're getting opportunities for guys who can win on the outside, like Ladd proved that he could do tonight. He can play Z, not just slot, where you can get some more explosive down the field type balls. So I'd be looking for more of that going on throughout the rest of the season if they can maintain the momentum they have from tonight as far as rushing the ball is concerned.
All right, let's move on to defense, because they were great today. We saw a lot of guys show out today. Who do you want to touch on first?
Selfishly, I'm going to pick my boy RJ Mickens, RJ Pickens, because man, it feels good, man. When scouting them this offseason, I felt like they got another late round steal, and the fact that he was able to step in tonight, we know that Derwin went down, but Unk went out too, man. So you got Jefferson on the sideline. I think he was dealing with a hamstring injury, and I was a little worried because at this point, it just the Chargers' luck, right? Safety was one of the strongest positions that they have. And then, of course, they trade Alohi, and he's arguably the weakest link in the safety room, in my personal opinion, because they didn't use him properly. They were asking him to play way too much deep third. He's a better in-the-box guy. And then Molden goes down with an injury, misses the game. So now you're looking out there like, what the hell do they have left? And you've got this rookie that they felt very confident in. And it's one of the reasons why they let Alohi go, because they feel like Mickens can play on the back third, and he can come downhill and, be someone who can, and he proved that during the preseason a little bit, like open field tackling. He's someone that's a short tackler. So it was really a pleasure to see him out there tonight doing his thing. I feel kind of bad for him on that play that he thought was a fumble where he runs 90.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like,
they don't blow a whistle.
Yeah. I'm like, that I get what he was doing, but also he's doing what he's supposed to do. He finished the play out. I'm like, man, if they score because this dude's dog tired after that, I'm going to be really pissed off. But Mickens came in and the game didn't look too big for him at all. And it says a lot, because you're out there with one of the best receiving corps in the NFL right now. And I don't know if anyone noticed this. You didn't hear a whole lot from those receivers. Jordan Addison got a touchdown. Benjamin St-Juste. You're lucky we won tonight. Yeah, because
he came back down to earth today.
Not going to do it to you tonight. We got to win. No complaining. But Yeah, you're talking about two high-level receivers with Justin Jefferson out there and Addison. And Addison was the only one that put up points tonight. And as a whole, they were kept pretty much in check. The entire secondary played well, even after Derwin went down, even after Jefferson went down. They were able to stick and stay in there. There was super sticky coverage from Cam Hart. Cam Hart, I think, is an unsung hero tonight, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm speaking of Mickens because that's my dude and everything, but Cam Hart was tremendous tonight, especially when he was aligned on Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
He basically, dare I say, played a shutdown night of football against a top 3 receiver in the NFL. So just overall, the secondary being able to step up even through the injuries, the defensive front, bravo to them as well, because the lane integrity, when you're talking about filling gaps against the run, was much better tonight than it was last few weeks. Honestly, there was no daylight whatsoever. The linebackers read their keys, got downhill, filled their gaps. It was a collective team effort. They played team defense tonight. This looked like the Jesse Minter defense that, I mean, we've become accustomed to. And no, the Vikings aren't world beaters with regards to who they have at QB. And yes, they were down offensive linemen as well. But the fact of the matter is that you were still talking about one of the more elite passing or receiving duos in the NFL, and they did more than hold their own.
Yeah. It felt like Jefferson had like 7 9-yard catches today, like nothing over anybody's head. There's maybe a first down or two, but yeah, Cam Hart today getting 2 PBUs on Jefferson. Also made a really nice tackle on Jordan Mason while they were driving early in that game. Forced a field goal. They ended up making it, but it was a pretty big play in the moment. He was very, very good today. Yeah, Cam Hart. There's a lot of guys that are getting a lot of spotlights today. Cam Hart's not one of them, and he's going to get it today because he played an absolutely incredible game today. And getting Justin Jefferson to only he was under 75 yards today, and he had like 11 or 12 targets today. So they tried to get him the ball, but Cam Hart did his best. When he was matched up on some other dudes, there were some other catches, but Cam Hart for the most part held his own against Justin Jefferson, which is great. Especially when Tarheeb still goes down, that he can still hold his own on the outside. And great play from Mickens, obviously, to catch that kind of overthrow from Wentz and to make the best of his opportunities. But I gotta say, man, Justin Aboigbe was an animal today.
Egg boy.
He got a sack up the middle at the beginning, his first one. But that was aided by an Oweh screaming off the edge. He forced Wentz to step up, and it went right to Aboigbe. Thule was right there to clean it up right behind him. But then he got another sack right before halftime where he chipped Brandel from the side and like knocked him down. He was on the ground on his way to Carson Wentz, and that sack forced a long field goal that the Vikings end up missing. So not only does he get the sack, a timely sack on third down, but it knocks them just out of it was a long, like 50-something yard field goal that they end up missing. And that's all aided by, it was back-to-back sacks, and we'll get to who also got a sack too. But Aboigbe getting that sack on third down, he was very, very good today. We've talked about Tier Tart having a really good season. We've talked about the Rook having a pretty good season on the interior. Hand before he got injured. Aboigbe here and there, but today 2 sack, obviously a career high. But to get some pressure up the middle from a guy like Aboigbe, if he can be consistent with that, I mean, that's going to really, really help this defense, because the one thing the Chargers need is interior pressure. They need pressure in general now, but it's always better to get an interior. And if you can get a guy like Aboigbe going and Tier Tart still going, this defense can, start to turn a little bit here.
We have to continue to give credit to the development of some of these players that maybe people didn't understand why the selections were made, because Aboigbe was another one that a lot of folks were just kind of like, what are we doing now? Like, we're going to waste a pick on, but you're seeing it happen. You saw him show up on special teams a few weeks ago, which is still mind blowing as a 300-pounder, getting down on kick coverage and blowing guys up. Now you're seeing him make plays on the field on defense. And yeah, the combination of some of these younger guys gives you a lot of hope for the future because you're seeing Boygby's development. And as you mentioned, Odafe Oweh had another sack tonight. Didn't have one throughout the beginning of the season with Baltimore. Now he's got 2 in 3 games with the Chargers in his first action. And then you got Khalil Mack with his bionic arm on a coverage sack. But Khalil also did something tremendous tonight. Keep in mind, he's playing with that huge brace on. It's really hard to, use it for flexibility purposes. It affects your strength. Outside of the sack, he made in the third quarter this tremendous run stop that shows you the difference between him playing the edge and some of the other guys. He squeezed this run from the edge where he comes flat down the line of scrimmage and stonewalls a running back. And that is how you set an edge. Like, the play didn't run directly towards him at the edge, but that's the difference between knowing when to squeeze and then knowing when to just essentially stay at home to set the edge. That's the difference between an elite edge player, defender, or edge rusher, but particularly in the running game, an edge setter, and just any old body else. Like, Thule's still developing. He's a pretty good edge setter. He's taken a step back, this year to an extent, but Khalil has mastered it. That play is a personification of what you want as someone to set an edge against the run. So again, the fact that he's back in the mix, Thule now with his 6th sack of the season. So now he's in a 3-way tie for 4th in the league. I don't know if anybody was paying attention to that, but he's actually been a better edge rusher than he's actually been maybe even a run defender this year. So he's kind of flipping the switch a bit. He's have to kind of circle around that entire game, round his game out entirely to be the type of player that he could potentially be. But you're talking about a Chargers team now that, as they're getting healthier, have some options on the defensive side of the ball, even on the defensive line in their front, that can make a huge difference. Again, tonight, the linebackers weren't liabilities. Why? Because the defensive front played so well. We can say what we want about Deion Henley and his performance since the whole quote unquote flu game. Understand that. But as a second level player, you're only as good as the guys in front of you. And last week, the Colts linemen were making it to the second level completely unimpeded, just teeing off on guys at the second level. And as a linebacker, man, like, when you're having to avoid these 300-pound bodies coming at you against the run, it can throw you off. Like, I'm not making any excuses for him, but it's just the way that football works. The trenches are important. Like, I know people say that, but that's literally the bedrock for everything else. And because the defensive line played so well tonight, you didn't see very many issues at the second level because they were muddying things up on the interior, allowing the linebackers to flow and stay clean and make plays against the run where they could, and also play pretty clean in pass coverage as well. So defensively, there were a lot of flowers to go around because there were a lot of guys that were making plays. And again, this is team defense, the way that it was always meant to be. So you got different contributors at every level, and that's how you build a championship defense.
Yeah, Odafe Oweh getting a big sack right before halftime. Felt like he could have had a couple today. He was playing really good. I don't know if you remember, because this was probably like 4 hours ago, but like the second play from scrimmage, Tier Tart jumped the snap, crashed through the line of scrimmage, disrupt the play, got in the backfield immediately. Perryman gets a run stop. That set like the tone immediately for this defensive front. It just felt like this is the way it was going to go all day long, because that immediately, I mean, he was in the backfield, on the snap. It was awesome timing, but and a good swim move to get in the backfield. But it just felt like that was kind of the tone setter, and it kind of felt like it was all day today. Mack was incredible today. Got a big sack on a third down. It's his 3rd straight game with a sack. So he's been, ever since he's come back, he's been just showing the difference maker that he is, even at his age, and what an important part of this defense he is. You don't want to talk about St. Juice today?
Well, before we even go there, one more thing about Odafe Oweh. One of the things that people criticize him about was because he's a super freak athlete, that he's really raw. You're seeing a development in technique. On that sack that he got, he ran the hoop, not just one with athleticism, but you saw the hand technique. He had a nice overhand club and swipe that he was able to free himself up for to go and get Wentz. So again, you're seeing development from younger players that you might not have seen, whether they were elsewhere or whatever. But this coaching staff is finding ways to affect these players in the way that they're out there on the field and maybe doing things they weren't known for before. And it's happening in very short order. So, again, something to be very excited about. We can talk about St. Juice. It's fine. Like, you know, here's a little bit of a net negative tonight. 2 back-to-back plays that cost the Chargers. Good riddance. Like, I'm fine if Cam Hart gets the majority of the snaps because I feel like Benjamin St. Juice is another project that they're working on as far as development is concerned because he has those physical tools. 6'3", decent speed, actually not like terribly, like he's actually pretty agile for a guy with his level of length. I just feel like when you get him in space, he's in trouble. If you see him lined up anywhere around the line of scrimmage, or should I say towards, if it's a condensed set and they find a way to single him out and put him in the slot or make him cover a receiver closer to the line of scrimmage, because when a receiver lines up that close to the line of scrimmage, it's probably some sort of crossing route, and they use those as man beaters. I don't remember if on that play, I think it was a crosser that Addison ran and he followed him on and he got beat for the touchdown. But that's what you do with cornerbacks like that. He's built to play press man coverage. He's just not great at it. And we know the Chargers like to run a lot of zone. So if you can get him in a man-to-man situation, especially in those condensed sets where you can make him have to follow you across the field, you can probably beat him. But it's not just getting beat on that play. It's what he did the play before with the illegal contact to essentially nullify the 4th down stop. Come on, dude. You can't be the butt of the situation 2 plays in a row.
Yeah.
You can't. Now, if this was a closer game and they were able to draw like within a score or something like that, then it'd be a bigger deal than what it is. So you have to get that figured out. But I don't want to bag on him too bad, not just because the Chargers won, but because he's been playing decently throughout the season. And again, Steve Klingsgale's done a tremendous job with them. But tonight, dude, I would have been fine if they just took you off the field and let Cam do his thing the entirety of the game on whoever they wanted to line him up against, because that can't happen moving forward.
Yeah, well, actually, we saw Jasir Taylor take some of Tar Heap's still snaps today, late night game. So be careful what you wish for there. But yeah, just not a good game from St. Juice. And it's terrible in that, obviously they won. In retrospect, it doesn't matter. But they got the 4th down stop, and Deion Henley finally gets a sack. It's like, all right, he's starting to make his way back. This is a good little cherry on top for Henley in this game, and then it gets called back. And then, it wasn't perfect today, but since we're on this track, having Troy Dye there as a 12th man on that field goal, which took 3 off the board, and then the Vikings score. That's what started it, which wasn't good. And then Dicker today misses a field goal, and then I whiffed on that kick and didn't hit the landing zone. I don't know what happened. Just, he made everything else. They scored 37 points, but just you're not used to a little off day from Dicker. It's always perfect.
And that's the thing about when you're basically perfect. When something like that happens, you start questioning what's going on. But let's be honest, man. This Lovato thing, I'm over it. Where's Josh Harris?
I know.
It's got to stop. The snaps are terrible. I think there was one good one tonight, and timing matters with kickers. I'm not absolving Dicker of anything, but keep in mind, when they talk about the special teams, especially the kicking game, they talk about the overall operation. And the overall operation is screwed if you can't get the most important thing done in order for the kick to happen. And that's a decent snap. I just don't understand what the Lovato situation is. I still don't know what's going on with Josh Harris. Had they ever said why he's out? I feel like we've never gotten a straight answer about what's going on there, unless I missed it. But the Rick Lovato thing, it's run its course. Hopefully Josh Harris can get back as soon as possible, because again, when you're playing closer games and you have to have the operation going, just decently, you can't have mistakes like this happen. Dicker pulled the 2 kicks that he missed. The first kick, well, no, he only missed one. The one he almost missed was the extra point after the Gatson touchdown, and that pulled left. And then the bad snap on the kick that he did miss also pulled left. I'm not saying it was all about the snap, but both snaps were bad, and it probably threw his timing off a little bit. Now the kick, after the third touchdown, I don't know what the hell happened. It just looked like his leg buckled before he got to the ball. It was just really ugly looking. It's like Bambi on ice. I don't know what the hell that was about, but just terrible overall. But again, for as good as Cameron Dicker is, and it didn't affect anything, they still win in blowout fashion. You can't expect him to be perfect all the time, like what player is, but he's as close as you can get to it currently. So I'm give him a pass for tonight because it was more than just a him thing. Again, the operation with the snap and the hold, that's got to get fixed. But that that kick, I don't know what the hell went on there. Just give him a pass for everything else he's done.
Yeah. Since we're starting to wrap up here, I joined the game late and I was just kind of catching up on it. But Trey Pipkins was active today, correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
But Bobby Hart was the right tackle today.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that's Trey Pipkins came in for alt in like garbage time? I saw all Pipkins out there, which makes sense because they were winning and alt's first game back. But do we think that Pipkins is the swing tackle now? Are they being extra cautious with Pipkins? Is Bobby Hart the right tackle now? What do you think's going on there? I
think they're probably exercising an abundance of caution with Pipkins because I think he has multiple injuries. The fact that he was active tonight, Deculus was hurt too, right? If I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you're running low on tackles. That was already an issue before. So I think that in their minds, if Pipkin's healthy, then he'd still be the starting right tackle. I'm interested to see how Hart performed as a whole because I feel like in general, the offensive line did a very, very good job tonight. If Bobby Hart's out there outplaying Trey Pipkins at this point, after having not played football in 2.5, 3 years, then oh boy.
He played pretty good today. I do have to say, Bobby Hart looked good at right tackle.
If it ain't broke, so if moving forward, if he ends up being the guy, then so be it. I don't know how I feel about that. I think you still might want to go out there and look for a potential opportunity to add someone there. I don't know if you want to ride the Bobby Hart train the rest of the season and Trey Pipkins consistently gets injured. It's kind of a thing. So, but if he's playing well, he's gaining confidence of the coaching staff, I could see them just continuing to roll with him. I would advise against it, but when Harbaugh gets, in his feels about certain guys, then they end up sticking around longer than they probably should.
So Austin Deculus was inactive, and so was Jamari Salyer today. I just looked it up.
Oh, Salyer was inactive too.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we saw Sorrell come in.
Yeah. So that was Sorrell at guard.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, that's even more impressive.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. I guess just something to think about as they're moving forward. They're on their kind of little mini bye with a long week. So I don't know. It's interesting because I thought as soon as just like if Alt's back, he's on the field. If Trey Pipkins back, you'd feel like he's probably on the field if he's your best option right tackle. But especially if you're going to make him active. But sure. I don't know. Bobby Hart looked pretty good today. Do have to admit. Let's see. I don't know. T-Dot, help me out here. Here, a still quote. I'll be good though. I'll be great. My bad. Is that because he went out today? I don't know what that's referring to, but let's hope that he means he's going to be back. Gaming with the Bros asked, time to trade QJ? Craig?
Are we allowed to answer that, or is it going to be hate or dumb?
Who cares?
I don't know.
Just answer I don't know. Yeah, answer it.
Yeah. I'm saying it emphatically. Yes. Trey Harris is ready. And you can utilize, like I said before, like I keep saying, QJ's trade value is as high as it's going to be. And you lack draft picks going into next draft cycle. If you can get something for him now, especially a player that can assist you this year, you should probably think about doing it. Will they? Who knows? But in my mind at this point is kind of a no-brainer with what Trey Harris has shown you.
Yeah. Yeah, I am all for it. It feels like QJ for the last 2 years now starts out hot, makes us all think like, hey, maybe this is the year, and then just kind of fizzles out. And then the drops start to pop up a little bit more and more and more. And man, I'm all for it. It feels like Trey Harris is starting to climb up that depth chart above QJ. Ladd is coming on strong now. Keenan is, still doing Keenan things. You still have KLS there too as a wide receiver 4. I don't know, man. Seems like a pretty easy trade to make if you can get something for him. I don't know what his trade value is at this point, like what the asking price is, but I don't know, man. I would think anything 5th and above, I might start thinking about it.
Listen, man, you just beat a very good defense without him getting a single target.
Yeah.
Not only did you beat them, you put up 37 without him being a factor whatsoever. Oh, by the way, have you seen him try to block? Just
QJ?
Yeah. It ain't pretty most of the time. So you got a wide receiver out there that's kind of, I'm not gonna say on the bench because you're trying to get him in the game that can block, that can win at every level of the defense, and probably let's not say probably, his game is better suited to do the type of stuff that you're trying to do with QJ vertically down the field. You can actually do with him because this is a contested catch monster and he can beat man-to-man coverage without having to be schemed to do it. Just saying.
Yeah. I'm for it. I know some might not want to hear it, but I think I'm with it. I'm ready to trade QJ if I'm Ortiz. If you guys got any questions, feel free to send them in. Jaguar man, what is this? Man F-type. Don't know what that is. But welcome.
It's a car. F-type Jag.
Oh, F-type. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like a Jaguar man. I don't know. The man threw me off. Sorrell looks good at right guard, better than Becton actually. Well, Becton has not been looking good the last couple of weeks, so that's a low bar, but
That's
sure.
Hell.
And and also limited sample size, but the offensive line as a whole looked pretty good today, to be honest with you. And all
the moving pieces, man. Like I know continuity is a thing, but they played very well today collectively as a whole. So impressive.
I was watching Alt a lot today, and he looked awesome.
He got rolled up on once. It scared me so much.
I know.
Of course, they would land on his ankle. That ankle, of course you would.
Oh, okay. So here I got the context. Tarheeb still said that his left knee got hit in a pile, but that's not what he's worried about missing any time. But that he's not worried about missing any time with the injury. He says, "I'll be good though. I'll be great. My bad."
Cool.
So he's
10 days, man. Rest it up.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Anyway, I thought Foster Sorrell played pretty good, to be honest with you. I was actually really impressed with him. I want to be honest. All right. Yeah. Go ahead, Craig.
No, I was going to say, again, just to reiterate, the offensive line, because we give them so much crap, because to be completely honest, I mean, what are you expecting from a collection of guys who anywhere else on any other team are 3s and 4s? Some of them are literally just practice squad dudes. So to be able to come out there against what is the Vikings have some really good defensive guys on their front.
Yeah.
And the fact that Herbert was clean tonight and they were able to run the ball with the efficiency that they did, it says a lot about those guys up front. So as much as we criticize them, even Bradley Bozeman, he had his moments tonight. We want to give them their props where it's deserved. And it is very much so, because you don't put up 37 points against a defense of that quality without your offensive line out there balling.
Nope. They were great today. MRK, I'm not going to read all those numbers. Edward G. Jets are having a fire sale. Any players you guys think we should get?
As a defensive tackle, I would love to have
Yeah. Me too.
by the name of Quentin Williams.
Yeah.
So let's start there.
Yeah. Quinton Williams, obviously number one. Do you think going after because they've put Jermaine Johnson kind of on the trade block a little bit? Not that moves the needle so much for me, but I don't know that adding a edge right now is in the cards after getting Oweh.
Unfortunately, you have a little bit of a crowded edge room. I wish Bud Dupree didn't count.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, right now that wouldn't be the direction I go in. I mean, unless they're willing to give him up for next to nothing, which they shouldn't be, because this is a guy who's still in his rookie deal as a first-round draft pick. So, no, I wouldn't be willing to put early-round draft capital towards that right now. Oweh looks like he's off to a swimming start. I would definitely be after Quentin Williams, though. If you're telling me I can get Quentin for a second, I might do that. I mean, I get it. That's a second-round pick, and you only have 5 going into the next season, but you might have to figure that out. Trade down in the first round to recoup that second. You don't know where you're going to be at this point, but there are ways to get an earlier round pick back if you're willing to trade back one of your earlier picks in order to do it. But Quentin Williams is absolutely worth that because you need that type of interior disruptor. And if you're willing to do that, that changes the complexity of your defense entirely.
Yeah. Where the Chargers will be drafting, hopefully, you're hoping that there's a player there that has a ceiling of a Quinton Williams. You know what I mean? So trading draft capital makes a ton of sense. One name that we can mention is a guy that the Chargers called on, and that was Max Mitchell, which is a left tackle. But I don't know how long that's in the cards. It's been a little bit. But definitely somebody they've checked in on in terms of tackle depth. How do you feel? Are you feeling whoops, not that one. Are you feeling that Bobby Hart should be the starter over Pipkins from here on out?
I'm not completely ready to push my chips in on Hart. Give him another week and see how he performs. I just want to ensure this isn't a flash in the pan type thing. If he goes out, who are we playing that? Well, I mean, it's the Titans. If he goes out and has a really good game against the Titans, he probably helps to solidify that for himself. It's just, I mean, it's Bobby Hart, man. You're not going to get me excited about it. If he can go out there and just be average, then cool. If any of them can just be average, I'm perfectly fine with it. But if he gives you a quality of ball that you didn't expect to get from him, then it's just the icing on the cake to have Pipkins back at the swing tackle position that he was originally designated for. So I'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm willing to keep riding with Bobby Hart until it just ain't working anymore. I mean, the way he's been playing so far has been outside of the penalties, which really has been troublesome early on, but nothing today. I don't know about last week. I can't remember. But for the most part, he's been pretty good. So at least above average. I don't want to say he's been pretty good. Like he's not Joe Walt status, but he's been, he's been fun. He's been better than Pipkins was early on in the year. And if we're, welcoming competitors for the Chargers, Bobby Hart is your guy.
Unless you play center. Then,
right. Then you just get a free pass.
Oh, my bad. I wanted to take a look at this one. So is it REZ 2405 with the way injuries are going? All it takes is one wide receiver going down to make QJ look more desirable. Okay, here's what you can't do. You can't play scared that way. When you have depth at a position, you have an opportunity to make that move to solidify another area of your team that may be a little bit more important. Because keep in mind, when you have multiple wide receivers, even if they go down, if you can still have a decent running game, then there are ways around that. But look at it this way. The same thing literally just happened with the safeties. You traded Gilman, and now you got 2 safeties also down. But did you still want to keep Gilman? Like, you've got Mickens who stepped up. They were able to figure it out tonight. Not to say that will happen in every scenario. But what you can't do is have, again, an abundance of something at a position and just be afraid to move it in the event that an injury happens. It's 100% injury rate game. Guys are going to get hurt. Could there be a rash of injuries at the wide receiver position? Absolutely. But then answer yourself this question. If multiple guys got hurt, could QJ be your one? Because I don't think he could. That's the way I'm looking at it. You're not giving up a number one wide receiver. He's very good in the role that he plays in a collection of receivers, but he's not a number one. So do with that what you will.
Yeah. Okay. We are going to get out of here, but first I have a locker room video, so we will end on that. Let me pull it up here and make sure everybody, you guys are following us everywhere on Twitter. Make sure you're part of the Discord. Subscribe here on YouTube. Make sure you comment, share, subscribe, do all those things. And we will see you next time. We will end on this. Hopefully good video. For the most part, they're pretty good. Sometimes they're a little duds. We don't watch them beforehand, but let's check it out. Here we go. Give me the thumbs up if you can hear it, Craig. You can't hear that? You can't hear that?
Nope.
Oh, no. All right. Hold on a second. Man, bummer. Okay. Hold on one second. Let me try one more thing. Oh, great. Now I got to do it on the fly. Also, okay, hold on. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Tell me if you can hear this.
Hey guys, a good plan executed with violence now better than a perfect plan a week from now. You guys were violent and came out of here. You were the physical team. The way you guys were rolling off the ball, offensive line, defensive line, that was one physical job you got done there. So, man, and also leadership, the leadership of this team, K-Mac, Justin, Bose, Joe Alt, Dayon, all the guys. That was I felt that was a player-led type of game. So, well done, well done. Give each other a high five. Hey, fellas, charge your football, charge your football. Charge your football, we're getting there. We are getting there. I got one question for you. Who could possibly have it better than us? Nobody!
Feels good to hear that again, man.
Yeah, it was fun. I was hoping for a big speech from him. It was a pretty big win, especially
when it started off. It was a little weird. I'm like, but it's Harbaugh, you know.
Yeah, I don't even know what he's trying to say there at the beginning.
I don't either, but
yeah,
it's Jim. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I bought it. I don't know what he said, but I'm in. All right, well, thanks. Yeah, thanks guys for joining us here late on a Thursday night. Chargers get the win. Little mini bye. You won't see us this weekend, obviously. We'll see you next weekend. And thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Salute.